if you're constantly logically thinking with your head and you're not thinking the way you're designed to do, then that's how you end up staying stuck.
Hello, and welcome to the Mindset and Self-Mastery Show. I'm your host, Nick McGowan. Today on the show, we have Akary Busto. Akary, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. I think we're going to have a great conversation. I always love being able to shoot the shit with people before we get started. Sometimes I can tell where I'm going to have to pull this thing along, or others I'm like, I'm going to probably have to cap us at some point. So that might be this one. So why don't you get us started? Tell us what you do for a living and what's one thing most people don't know about you that's maybe a little odd or bizarre.
Okay, so I call myself an emotional biohacker. I work with the nervous system using a lot of different tools, including what a lot of people are not familiar with, which is the HeartMath Institute out of Northern California. They've researched the heart for over 30 years, and like Joe Dispenza uses a lot of the science that they've collected from there. And I use human design, and I've created a framework that helps people just find their authenticity, because a lot of times we're conditioned to have to be one way or the other, and not having the opportunity to show up authentically brings us a lot of pain.
Well, folks, that's the end of this episode. I mean, there's so much to that. That's one of the things, like, even as we were talking leading into this, like I want to be able to have real, authentic conversations. Like I said, you feel free to curse if you want. I fucking do. But the whole point to it is to be able to have these authentic conversations. And I do think there are a lot of things that really hold us back from that most times we don't know about. Like you and I talked about even the childhood stuff.
Yeah.
Human design, people don't understand the differences or how that can relate, or how things that they don't even think about that are part of the subconscious are still affecting them, you know?
Yeah, it's the conditioning that we all have to go through, the indoctrination just to begin with from our education, getting us to go to school at 8:00 in the morning and clocking out at 3, just like a regular job. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then we look at the systems of all this stuff. You're born into a system, a family system, an educational system. We think the system should work for us. Our parents told us that we should go to college and get jobs and do this. And now it's not the same life that our parents had. It's not the same life that their parents had. And we're trying to say this system should work for you, but it didn't really work for us. Now, We're going to get further and further down that path. But before we do, I always like to be able to go back. Like, what's that weird thing, or what's that bizarre thing that people don't know about you?
So here's the bizarre thing that people don't really know about me, because what they see is not what they get. So I'm actually from Mexico City. I am Mexican with Korean heritage. My family migrated in the late 1800s, early 1900s from Seoul, Korea, when they were still little villages. And they went to the Yucatan in Mexico. They have a Korean Mexican museum there. And then they were turned into indentured servants. So they pretty much replaced the workforce for the Mayan people that were being killed off by these haciendas, right? And they were in servitude for about 30 plus years until one of the Mexican presidents came in and just got rid of all of the haciendas. So I've been here in California for over 40 years, and I didn't know any English, and I still was able to get through that system and create a pretty good opportunity for myself. And I'm bilingual. So I speak Spanish fluently. I read it, I write it. I have family all over Mexico, and I look nothing like a Mexican.
Yeah, that is one of those things where it could be like 2 or 3 truths and a lie sort of thing, you know?
For sure. I always say, we're loud, we're brown, and we're proud.
That's pretty awesome. I can't help but think, as you talk about that stuff and the journey to it all, there was a lot of generational trauma. There were a lot of crazy things that happened, a lot of things that were then passed down, and a lot that you had to go through. And even getting here, not knowing the language, learning the language, being bilingual, going through all the things that you've gone through. It makes me sad to think that there's somebody, or a group of fucking people that are actively trying to kick people out of the country, where the country is actually made up of folks like you, primarily.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's such a gold mine in our immigrant communities. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. We attract such amazing people, and to not look at it as a gift makes me question not just your humanity, but your values. What are your core values
Yeah.
when you stop identifying with humanity, right? It's not about race or religion or beliefs. It's like at the core, we're all human. Like you don't get
Yeah.
rid of all like Rottweilers or all Chihuahuas because they're annoying, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're all dogs. They all belong, and we all belong. That's the end. Like period. Like we all belong.
Yeah. I'm sure we could go further down that path, and I'm kind of restraining from it. Because there's
You're like,
actually no,
"Ah."
yeah, because there's no race. There's no race. There's
No,
no
there's
actual race. There's just different pigments and things of that sort. And I also find it funny how like we kick everybody out of the country. It's like, but this is how the country was made. And where the fuck did we come from? We're all
right.
just
Where are you
immigrants.
gonna
Like,
go?
and you're hurting all these people that were killed a couple hundred years ago because you assholes brought in all this disease. And they're like, oh, this is your land. Great. Well, here's sickness and here's some famine. And oh, great. Looks like you're really working on the land. Well, fuck that. We've got a different way.
Yeah.
All right. So without turning it into that total sort of episode, I really want to look at the design of things, our human design. That's the reason why I accepted you being on the show, was to be able to talk about the human design. I'm really, really, really interested in how that is. And truthfully, and I like to be able to call this shit out because I know there are people listening to this and go, thank you. There was a bunch of stuff I remember reading years ago where I was like, it's got to be woo-woo. Like, what do you mean a human design? You can tell based on where I was born and how the stars were around. Could you also tell that how much my mom was dilated, that like I'm going to turn out to be some fucking way? This doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But the more that I read about it, the more that I understand it, the more I look at things and I go, oh shit. It's like reading exactly how I look at things. And I tie that into even the systems that we've been brought up, Enneagram, and these different modalities that we can look at and try, and just different ways to look at life. But it's for us to be able to learn something from it and start to do something different. Just like you as a generator, me as a generator, we know to respond to things. If we try to react or we try to pursue things or just create things, it's like fighting an uphill battle. And that's just a small little piece of it. So where would you like to start with this?
Let's start from the beginning, because it is a very multi-layered chart. Like if you were going to devote time into learning the chart, you're just going down one rabbit hole after another. And the reason being is that 5 different systems make up what human design is. So now all of a sudden you've got some astrology, you've got some quantum physics into it because it needs to be more complicated, right? Then we have the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. We have the I Ching, which is the Book of Wisdom for the Chinese. And then we have the Hindu chakra system, which is beautiful because we have 5 different systems from 5 different times in history, and they all come together and they get married. So as we start looking at the chart and we start unraveling it, the most important thing is, what is my type? How am I supposed to be in this world? And the beautiful thing, so we have 5 types. We have the manifester, who is here to initiate, right? Then we have the generator, who is here to respond. Then we have the manifesting generator, which is a hybrid. And so it can do one of 2 or both, right? It's just pretty, it's a really fast type. Then we have the projector, who is here to lead, guide, figure things out. And then we have the reflectors, who actually reflect right back to us. And they're only 1% of the population, so they're a unicorn. You may never meet a reflector, or you may meet a reflector and you don't really know you're meeting a reflector because they go along with the lunar cycle. So they're the ones that are much more attuned to what's happening on the planet.
Find it interesting that there are those pieces and all the different types to it, but let's take a little bit of a step back, because some people, that listen to this are familiar and maybe a lot more familiar than the rest of the audience. And then there are some people that are like, time out. What the fuck do you mean human design?
Right.
So let's start back from the beginning of that. Give me like you're explaining it to a sixth grader. What is human design at its base level?
Human design as a basic is a tool that we can utilize to learn what we're here to do in the world, how we're supposed to navigate through the world, how we're supposed to be making decisions so that things work out in our favor, what the shadow part of that is so that we start to develop more self-awareness and we stop taking it personal because at the end of the day, it's all energy.
Yeah.
And that to me is the most beautiful thing. We learn self-compassion, which is very important. And then we have more compassion for the rest of the people because they're not doing it on purpose. It's just how they navigate the world.
Yeah. Something I thought about when I first heard the different variation of that definition. Like somebody told me kind of what that was. And I was like, so wait, you're telling me this is like one of those things where like this was a plan that was set for the entire life and like this is how it's supposed to go. That's like where people, very religious people will say, well, God has a plan for you and it's to do this thing. And I think all of that can be simultaneously true. There can be a plan, but we still make our own decisions. But understanding how we best operate is understanding how the machine best operates instead of just like putting water into an engine when you need to actually put gasoline in. If you understand that the water's not going to do anything, then why would you put it in there? But we still do things that the world will tell us to do. So I remember thinking like, I don't want to be told this is how my life's going to be, but there is a mixture of that, isn't there?
It's not about you following like a manual. It is your manual on how you can operate so that you're at optimal space. So if I know as a generator, I go into frustration, I know that the moment I get frustrated with a project, I just want to quit. Okay. But learning about this, it's about looking at the project going, yeah, this sucks. I don't want to do this. What if I take a time out and give myself a permission slip for that? So we're not saying, oh, this is how you have to operate, but what if you operated in this way so that you actually see your project into fruition? Because that's also a thing for generators. We like to see completion. And so if we get frustrated and we quit, we never know what could have been on the other side. So that is what it's about. It's about having free will. You have free will. I don't like absolutes because they don't work. But being curious about those moments when you're about to quit and think, okay, well, maybe I take a time out and then I'll come back to this and see what that brings me. And if it's still not working, then fuck it, quit.
Yeah. There are pieces of that too. Like we talked about childhood trauma even before we hit record. So understanding the frustration, I'm a generator, so I understand that fully. I'm sure there are people that are going to listen to this that they're like, I get frustrated at different points. And I think there are parts of it that tie into our design, but then there are also parts that tie into our childhood trauma. You were triggered and you got frustrated because of that trigger. And it takes that self-awareness to be able to understand the different flavor to it. Somebody told you to do something or you got frustrated just naturally, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I can think of many instances that was like my thing, getting frustrated with my mother, who is a manifesting generator, moving so fast and not finishing things. It would drive me bananas. It's like, lady, like you forgot, all of these different things. And there was so much going on in her life that there were times that she'd forget to go pick me up at school on time. So
it's kind of an important thing.
Yeah, like her way of doing life really just was very frustrating for all of us because my sisters are all generators and two of my brothers are manifestors. So they would just automatically go to anger. Like they'd be pissed. And my sisters would be frustrated, like, what the heck? And I mean, that's a whole other like story, but we still are frustrated with her because she's so like, I'm going to do it this way, even if it makes no sense. So we are very linear and that, one step in front of the other is how we operate. So the way that I identify, because we were talking about your partner being a manifesting generator, my partner is a manifesting generator. And here's how it works. Manifesting generator is the hair. right? The tortoise and the hare. So they're the hare and we are the turtles. And we start the race and we're just like, "Tu, tu, 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 tu." And here's the hare, like, like, let me try this, let me try that. At the end of the race, we end at the same time. Yet the manifesting generator has so much speed, right? They're just like that when they end, they have all of this different experience that they've accumulated from that project, where we're just
Yeah.
like, I'm not even in a rush to go over there yet. Like, let me just finish master, because we're here for mastery.
Give me a minute. Yeah.
Let me master this, and then I'll like jump over there and master that. Where they're just taking like little bits and pieces and then putting it together,
Yeah.
and then boom, right? Like they've got that amount of power. And so it really gives us permission. For a long time, I was like, can you just be like quiet? And he's like, I was trying. And now as I learn more about, manifesting generators and what they do, I'm like, okay, it's not personal. He's not trying to be a jerk.
No.
That's just, he's going fast. He's just moving. He moves a lot faster. Literally, I move out of the way. I'm like, go. Wherever you miss, then I'll come in and I'll, fill in the gaps. So I've learned to fill in the gaps because in the beginning, my mother is a manifesting generator. So yes, he would trigger me. I would always say, you sound like my mother. You do things like my mother. And then all of a sudden it's like,
oh,
yeah.
Yeah. These are such crucial things to learn about each other, especially in relationships. I was joking with my partner the other day. I was like, man, one of the most difficult things in the entire world is just people. Like, I love you to death, but sometimes I know I'm a lot and I'm sorry for that. Like, this is just people trying to be with other people. But when you can understand those things and how we interact with each other and how we kind of go head to head at times just because of our design, I'm sure you've had different times where you're just cracking up because you're like, fuck it, I did this again. I know this is how this works. And like, here we are.
And that's the beauty, is that life gives us so many opportunities to experiment and to continue to work at it, because it's that repetition that creates that rewiring of the brain. And instead of going, getting frustrated, it's like, okay, so here was an opportunity. This is what I learned. Let's get back in the game, right? I'm going to go back into the arena, like Brene Brown says, and just, so I want to be with people who are in the arena with me, who are practicing, who are aware, and who go, okay, so mess that one up. Let's start all over.
There's a lot that can tie into the way that we respond to things. And we are all different anyhow. Like you were saying, how your partner will move fast. I'm the actual one who moves fast, but Stephanie moves mentally quick. She'll work on, here's a quick version of this. She had a full hysterectomy and was massively deficient in multiple vitamins, and it really knocked her down. She started a new version of her company, created a brand new brand, brand new website, tore it all down, and then created it all over again and created 6 brand verticals for it in the span of a year and a half, all while dealing with all the other nonsense. And there are times where I'm like working on a project as a musician, I could sit and work on a drum part for like 6 hours. And I'm like, how the fuck did you do all that other stuff?
Exactly.
And I'm still fucking around with these hi-hats. Like, how does this make sense?
They have this amazing power. I mean, he moves fast both physically as well as mentally. So I hear you. He's got a million things happening all the time, and I admire that, because I wish I had that power. And here's the thing, though. I was raised by a manifesting generator, so I've been conditioned to move fast.
Ah, gotcha.
And so I'm not one. I pretend to be one sometimes.
Because we can adapt. Can. Yeah, exactly. Like we can use those other things. Like I brought up the Enneagram to you as well. And some people will find a type, just like if you're a generator in human design, you think, well, that's what I do. But there are often times where you do need to reflect on something. And sometimes you might need a little bit longer than you did, but that might also show that there was a sign of trauma or something that triggered you that you actually need to kind of work through.
Yes.
I want to take a little bit of a step aside with this, because the people that are learning about human design, maybe brand new, like, all right, cool, I got an idea of it. Then there are also people listening to this that are like, I know a lot about this shit, so like carry forth. I want you to talk about the things that we can understand, that we can easily grab onto to start to understand ourselves better, like frustration for a generator. If I get frustrated now, I understand I need to pause. I'm getting frustrated. Let me breathe. Let me even step out of my space, like physically step away from the computer or whatever conversation just for a second or two to have a beat, and then come back and go, all right, I understand that I'm frustrated and here's what's happening, and move along from there. If I didn't understand that that was part of my design to let me know that there's something going on, I wouldn't also know that there are things deeper in my subconscious that stem from childhood trauma that tie into that situation. And once you start to see that stuff really expand and you see the layers, you can start to work on it. To not get that macro, but what are the different things that are like that for the other types? Like, how do they know they're kind of out of alignment with it?
So manifestors, they go into anger, and anger is like the energy that goes around them. In my mind, when I think about a manifestor, I think of that rock, that rocker kind of like emo kind of guy, all in black, long hair, maybe eyeliner, and is sitting in the back of the classroom with his head on the desk, wishing he could meet someone. Right? It's like the complete irony of it. So they have a closed aura. They really want to connect, but they have that resting bitch face.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you meet a manifestor like that, it hits you, because it's not personal. It's just that they have this closed aura. They are actually really loving people. I have so many manifestors in my family. And it's that, like, they're just sometimes very antisocial, yet they want connection. It's the conundrum in the chart. So that's what happens with the manifestor. The projector goes into bitterness because the projector needs to ask permission to share. They are here to lead, to guide. They can see things that you and I, we're not designed for it. So they see right through you. And so they are the people who come in and then they can just go, hey, Nick, you're an asshole because of and you're just like, whoa, like you just like overstepped 100% of the boundary. So they need to learn to say, hey, Nick, I have some really difficult feedback that I'd like to give you. Do you have the bandwidth for it? And of course, your sacral goes, uh-huh, or like, no, like, yeah. I don't. But that allows them to go, okay, well, can we set up a time and a date where you think that it may work so that we can have this difficult conversation? And you're like, damn, okay. So that's a smart projector. If the projector just vomits,
it's healthy. Yeah.
When you close down, and then they're here to be recognized for their wisdom, but then they shut their own door. So that's the conundrum there. And with reflectors, they just go into disappointment because they're so connected to the earth and humanity. And when they see things not working, they go into disappointment. And for them, it's really important to have the best place to live and the best place to work because they're so open. They amplify all of the energy around them. We all have conundrums, and the manifesting generator has twice that, right? Because they're manifestors and they're generators. So they go into anger and frustration, and you never know which one you're going to get. Here's the thing about manifestors. Just like we are here to respond, they are here to inform. And that's the difficult part, right? Because we want to initiate. Only manifestors can initiate. And so when you have a manifesting generator, not only do they not inform, but they're fucking fast. And so the way it shows up in our relationship, and my partner's been really good at working through this, is that we can walk into the grocery store at the same time. We're standing at the butcher together, and in a blink of an eye, he's gone. Gone. Yeah. And forgot to just kind of tap me on the shoulder and say, I'll be back. So I'm literally talking to myself at the butcher. And all of a sudden, I'm like, where are you? Like, just looking. And then he'll pop out of like the cheese and he'll be like, oh man, I forgot you know? And it's not that, it's just that they have a lot of nonverbal cues. So manifestors and
Yeah.
manifesting generators have that nonverbal cue. I believe manifestors, projectors, and reflectors are probably the most difficult children to raise because we live in a generator world.
Yeah.
We live in that hustle world. And these other three types don't have that sacral energy. It's not sustainable. When they're around us, yeah, they can do a lot because they're amplifying the energy that we bring in, but it's not sustainable. Manifestors will burn out by the time they're 50 if they're not doing something that they love. And if they don't set themselves up with a career that can help them take some time off, like, just letting these investments, like they're great for investments like real estate or anything, so that they don't have to be on all of the time. Projectors are the same way. They're not good for the 9 to 5. Can they do it? Yes, but they have to really have a passion for the work they're doing.
Yeah.
And reflectors are, it's sad to say, but because we don't as a society appreciate rest, they suffer the most because they're constantly like all over the place. Some days are good and some days are not that good.
Yeah. I hope some of that is shifting a bit. I think there's more of the anti-hustle culture than there was the hustle culture. Like I think back
But
to
it starts with us. It
yeah,
starts with
totally.
us, the sacred people. The sacred
Yeah.
people need to step in and start showing how we don't have hurried mornings, and start giving others permission slips for that.
Oh man, even the hurried mornings. That's so funny to me because I get frustrated at times if I didn't have all the time to meditate and read and wander around and pick my nose and drink coffee while I'm doing whatever the fuck I want, like everybody else in the world needs to leave me the fuck alone. But if I hadn't had enough time, and sometimes I feel like I need 7 more hours of it, it's not always the case. But like you register with that yourself and you're just like, all right, dude, calm down. I find all this stuff interesting because it's not just like you said, it's not a plan for your life of this is the path and this is what you do, but it's a bit of an operator's manual. Like we didn't come with guides or a manual, but in some ways we do. We have those things. And once you start to see that and you understand it, then you can also look at the other pieces to it. Like my Manny Gen is a little different than yours, but they have 2 different lives. They've experienced things differently. The world has shaped them differently, and they've made different choices and leaned into different areas of it. And there's also different just character types of people,
Well, and think about their chart. Their chart's going to be different. Their profile is going to be different. Their life and soul purpose are different. And then you bring into that the complexity that, one is male and one is female.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, what I notice with a lot of the manifesting generators that come to me is that quickness. I just offboarded a client yesterday, and the one thing that she says she learned was to slow down because she was breaking things. She was running into things, because she wasn't paying attention. She was just in such a hurry to get things done for no reason.
Yeah.
So everyone's different, but that fast pace always seems to show up for them.
Yeah. And that's their speed.
Mm-hmm.
How they move through that speed might look a little different, but that is still their speed. Just like the folks that need to actually have an entire lunar cycle.
Yeah.
That makes me crazy just thinking about that. Like you need 30 days. Yeah. God, that's a lot. But for those people, I'm sure there are times they're like, it's actually not enough time. Like I could use a little bit more, but you're an asshole and all this generator nonsense is pushing me.
Did you ever get to hear Ra say, they were telling Ra, like, what if we got rid of all of the generators and the manifesting generators in the world? Then we would have global peace.
Oh, yeah.
And then Ra said, yeah, and then you'd starve.
Yeah.
I mean, we all belong. We all belong. Really, it is so primal. I think, right? We have the people who hunt and the people who farm and the gatherers and the people who just it's a village. It's a village.
Yeah. And I find this stuff interesting to be able to understand about ourselves, but also you bring up a village. Like people listen to this show either run their own companies or they're part of a team or even just running their families, like understanding that your kids are different, understanding that the people your employees are different and should be able to help us understand that at least we can start to look at how are you different and how do I best work with you instead of going, why the fuck are you different? You're different than me. This is stupid. Do what I say. Doesn't actually make any sense. And we hurt ourselves by doing that.
And I think that if human design was part of the interview process in an HR space, that it would give us an opportunity to say, yes, I know you want to be in sales, but you're a projector.
Yeah.
What if you supported a salesperson? What would that be like for you? And then that may really bring a lot of self, reflection and understanding, because some people go into sales thinking, I want all of that and more, right? Because I mean,
That's what
it's
the
a
world tells
hustle
you.
world.
Yeah.
It's a hustle world. And to watch them fail and then get canned because they can't, I mean, that just hurts your self-esteem. Like you're defeated. But if you were in a different, part of the company where you actually fit and could actually succeed, I mean, that's the beauty of it. So that is why I love human design and why I use it with a lot of women, because I can't work with children, because at the end of the day, it's not the kids, it's the parents, right? The kids show the symptoms of the household. And so I get to work with the kids and the partner through the woman, because I always say the man is the head of the household, but the woman is the neck, and we move the head. And so by working with her, it gives me an opportunity to work with everyone, and we explore everyone's human design, and we get to understand that your kids are going to be like the fingers on your hand, all different, and they all do something different. So just like I said, my mother conditioned us to be manifesting generators like her. I chose to not do that to my daughter. I chose to let her run free and wild and do things and experiment, because that was what her chart was telling me. And to see her, almost 24 years old, a wildlife biologist, actually doing what she went to school for, right? Like, what the hell is that like?
Yeah.
And just watching her enjoy herself and create joy. What more could a parent want? But we have to learn what their chart looks like in order to have that, in order to stop taking it personal, in order for us to try and condition them to do what we arrogantly think they should be doing.
Yeah. Well, it takes us also doing that stuff first. Like, I don't have any kids. I'm not going to have any kids. And I know that there are people that I've worked with, that I've led, people that have been on my teams, or that I've consulted for people, and I've projected on them because I thought this is the best way to go about it. You should do this because I think of myself as an intellectual, and fucking if I can think this up, you should do it. Like, makes sense to me back then. But understanding how this stuff works now and understanding how people work differently, it helps us be able to look at, be it a kid, be it a relationship or somebody you work with or anybody you come in contact with, understanding how they can work helps us then work with them. But I think it also really helps us understand how we can best work. Like you talked about somebody going into sales. That hits kind of the nail in the head for me because I've been in sales for a long, long, long time. I got into it because people were like, well, you could talk and you talk a lot. And you could sell things, so you should go do this. My mom said I could sell ketchup popsicles to a lady in a white dress when I was a little kid. And I remember thinking, who the fuck wants a ketchup popsicle? And why is she handling a popsicle if she's in a white dress? None of this makes sense, but whatever. Maybe I'll sell her napkins. But like, those people that try to get into something because they think they need to fit into a mold instead of saying, well, how do I actually want to work, is where we start to look at that. So people that are working through this, or at least saying, all right, cool, I want to dive deeper into this, I want to understand more about myself, what sort of suggestions would you give to them to start going down that path?
I think human design is very layered. So my first thing is go slow. New vocabulary, new ways of looking at life. There's a lot of what we call deconditioning from everything that you've been told you had to be, want to be, like how many kids you need to have, the White House with the picket fence and the dogs and the cats and, the menagerie of things. And just take it slow. Take it slow. First, look at your chart, and you're not going to be able to navigate it. So the next thing would be to start reading about it. I offer a general report first, and that's so that you can start getting your feet wet. Because from regular human, what we call traditional human design, what I take people through is quantum human design. So it is a complete initiation from the traditional human design that Ra created, which was to help people awaken. And then I take you to the empowerment part of human design. Words matter. And
Oh,
so
big time.
where Ra, generators are the slaves of the world. Well, great. Like that's exactly what I want to be.
Yeah,
And
sign me
in
up.
quantum human design, we're the worker bees. We're after the honey. Whatever makes us happy, that's what we really need to do, because generators, once we commit to doing something, we're going to do it, even if it sucks.
And
So
if you're a manifesting generator and you have quit on different things, it's okay. That's what you do.
that's what you
You
do.
also put a body of work together, probably fucking a lot faster than other people.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really important to go slow and to find access to things and ask questions. And we're all being initiated into several different things, and the slower you go, the more methodical it'll be, and the easier it will be for you to experiment, because human design was created for all of us to experiment.
Uh, that's awesome. What a beautiful way to put that too. For the people that are on their path towards self-mastery, how does human design fit into that? And what sort of advice would you give them while they're on that path?
Again, connect to your heart and go slow, because the way we rewire our brains is by taking it step by step. The nervous system, I believe, has to be held with a white glove. If there's no safety and there's no connection, we're not going to move we're not going to move in the right direction. It keeps us stuck. The one thing I always remind people is that your brain, the number one job is to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're constantly logically thinking with your head and you're not thinking the way you're designed to do, then that's how you end up staying stuck. And so if you're on your path to mastery, the first thing is being curious and allowing yourself to experiment.
Yeah. Awesome. And it's been great having you on today. I really appreciate you being with us. Before I let you go, where can people find you and where can they connect with you?
So I live in Instagram, and it makes it a lot easier than going all over the place. So Instagram, UHKARE, breathwork, is where you can find me on Instagram. And that's the other thing. I phonetically spelled my business name, Akary.
Nice. Perfect. It's a little bit of a nod to a joke that you all don't know about. So thank you so much. Again, it's been awesome having you on. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.